The company of Harcourts, Rata and Co. I'm joined here today by some of the best in the north, the best real estate team in the north. Should you require their advice, please feel free to approach either Harry, Lucas, Michael, Alex, Michael, Ivan, and of course George, Iannou, and George's boss, Christina, Iannou, who no doubt you've had the great pleasure of becoming acquainted with throughout the marketing campaign. Buyers, let me share with you now the following announcements which are in place to help you bid and buy with absolute confidence here today. The auction will be conducted in accordance with the rules and any additional conditions that were made available for inspection before the start of the auction. The auction rules prohibit an auctioneer from accepting bids or offers for a property after the property has been knocked down to the successful bidder. The vendors have a reserve price as the auctioneer. I'll indicate bidders on request. The law prohibits false bids, prohibits major disruptions by bidders, and prohibits bidders attempting to prevent others from bidding, and provides for fines for such conduct. The rules permit for vendor bids the words I'll use during the auction to indicate that I'm making a bid on behalf of the vendor are vendor bid, and by law only I, as the auctioneer, can make a vendor bid. The contract of sale has been on display prior to today's auction. We call for 10% deposit upon the fall of the hammer and the signing of that contract to take place here today, with the balance to be paid at settlement in 90 to 120 days time, at which time the vendor will provide the lucky buyer with vacant possession of the property. All in all, quite a straightforward contract. Everything's in there, everything's quite clear. Buyers, it is my highest recommendation what we offer for your consideration and competition here today. A great opportunity for any first home buyer, a great opportunity for any investor. What a great townhome, comprising of plenty of living space, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms in total, immaculately maintained, near new and immaculately maintained by the current owner. You can buy with absolute confidence. Not only are you buying a great home, you're also buying into a great location. So much infrastructure at our fingertips already, but even more exciting than that is all of the planned infrastructures to come into WOLLERT, and with that comes capital growth. So this is your opportunity to get in on the ground floor and ride that wave of capital growth, to act decisively and earn it for yourself, and avoid having to pay it down the track. So buyers, you've got that opportunity now. If you'd like to get the sold sticker up on the board, right now is the opportunity to secure that right. Buyers, where can I see a fair and reasonable starting bid for number 2 Williamsburg? Who'd like to start us off? I don't mind the call, I'm in your hands. Start me where you like, buyers. If you're here to buy, this is your moment, your time. Where was that? 500. At 500,000, fair start at 5 now. At 500,000, fairly been offered. Welcome and best of luck here today at 500,000 now. At 500 the bid. At 500,000, fairly been offered now. At 500,000, bids here at $500,000. At 500,000, fairly been offered. There's the bid. The opportunity and the competition is with you all at 500,000 now. At 500,000, fairly been offered. At 500 the bid. At 10, I was hoping for 20 in the rise. Can I say 20, ma'am? At 10, I'll shorten my stride, I'll get you involved and give you the same courtesy at 10 if you like. At 510 I have, and best of luck here today. At 20 now, the quick retort at 520,000. At 520,000, your 10 still good with me. 20 I have now at 520,000. At 520 the bid. At 520,000, fairly bid offered now at 520. At 520. 550. At 550, a great bid at 550,000. That's how you buy. Show strength. At 550, best of luck at 60. At 560,000, one more big bid might just get it done. At 560,000, and the bid's there. At 560,000, great response to a big bid. At 560 now. At 560,000, fairly been offered. At 560,000. At 560, the bid there. Opportunity with you. One bid not enough. At 560,000. At 560,000, fairly been offered. Bid there. What do you say? At 560, it was a great bid, just not enough here today. At 560,000, maybe still with me, you're definitely done. Thank you for your bid here today. At 560,000 now. First call at 560, are we done? It's good acoustics here. Second call at 560,000, done. At 65, and why not at 565? And I'll extend the same courtesy at 5,000 if you like. At 565,000 and 70 if you like. Can I say 70 now at 565? Or perhaps take George's advice, I'm sure it's right. At 565,000. At 565,000, fairly been offered now at 565 the bid. At 560, at 70 now at 570,000. At 570 in the bids here. At 570,000. At 570,000, fairly been offered. George, do you want to just run in and confirm instructions for me, please? At 570,000. At 570 the bid here, opportunity with you and you, ma'am, at 570,000. They tell me they're out over there at $570,000 the bid. First call at 570, done. Second call at 570,000. Done, finished. Third, final call at $570,000 the bid, all done. At 570, at 571, you can strengthen your position at 71, at 571, at 571, why not 571, at 571,000, at 571,000 now, fairly been offered, bids at 71, at $571,000 the bid, at 571, 72 sir? 75. At 75, even better, at 575. What was that? I thought I heard George yell out to me. On the mark, I thought you were going to come and tell me over the balcony. At 75, I know, missed opportunity, George. At 575,000 bids there, so sold the keys, as you heard from George. We're on the market and selling here today. At 575,000, the bids there, the keys are there. The opportunity rests with you still though. At 575, at 575, man, we're definitely selling here today. We're definitely done. Have your absolute best. Thank you very much for your bidding here today. At 575,000. Bids here. Keys are here at 76. At 576. Try 80, sir. At 576,000. The bid's there. Keys are there. We sell at 80 now, and a great bid at that at 580. At 580,000. At 580,000 and 81 now. At 581 the bid. At 581,000. Bids here, my left, your right. Opportunity with you, but the keys are there at 81. At 581,000. At 581 and 2 now at 582. At 582,000. Got them down to $1,000 bid, sir. At 582. At 582,000. Best response to a small one's a big one. At 582 now at 582,000. Bid there. Keys are there. We're on the market. We sell at 582.5. At 582.5 now. At 582,500. Bid there. Only half. At 582.5. Don't walk away for at 585, at 585 and a better bid. At 585, at 585, bid back here, pressure straight back on you, sir. At 585,000, at 585,000, fairly been offered. At 5. No, I'm not taking 250. I'm not that cheap, sir. 500? At 500, 585 and a half. At 585 and a half now. Back here at 585 and a half and 86 now. At 586,000. At 586,000, fairly been offered. Bid back here now at 586. Keys here at 586. I'm not going inside. We're on the market and selling. My instructions are clear. We play for keeps here today at 586. Bids here. Keys are here at 586,000. First call at 586. All done. Second call at 586,000. Done, finished at 87. At 587, 90. Try 90 at 587. At 587,000, the bid's there. At 587 now. At 587,000, fairly at 90 now, and a great bid at that at 590. Was that enough? Looks like that's done the job at 90 now. At 590,000, we're done here. We're done there at 90 now. At 590 the bid. At 590,000, we sell away once. At 590, all done. Twice. At 590,000, done, finished. Third, final call at $590,000 the bid, all done at 90 and a half. At 590,500 now. At 590,500, don't walk away for half at 91 now. At 591 the bid. At 591,000, you've said that many times, sir, today. At 591, at 591 the bid's here. I'll give you a moment to think about it at 591. At 591 the bid, fairly been offered out 91 on the market and selling at 591. Once at 591,000. Are we done now? Twice at 591. Are we done? Are we finished? Third, final call at 591,000. Are we all done? All finished? I won't take 250, make it 91 and a half, sir. At 591, the bid's here. At 591,000, make it 91 and a half. At 591, bid there. Opportunity with you, sir. At 591, surely you're not going to walk away for $250, sir. We're buying property here, sir. At 591, the bid's there. At 591,000. Once, twice, third. At 591 and a half. At 591 and a half now, and the bid's there. 591 and a half. At 592 now. At 592,000. At 592, the bid's there. Try a bigger bid, sir. 592. Small bids help the competition come along. Big bids buy property. At 592,000. At 592, the bid. Done there, done here at 592. Once at 592,000. All done. Second call at 592. Done and finished. For the third, at 593, and that's better at 593. 5 perhaps at 593. At 595, and a great bid at that at 595. At 595,000. Sir, your initial reaction is always no, but yet you keep coming with me. Give me a big bid. At 595, take me to 600. Let's get it done. At 595,000, the bid's there. At 595. At 595,000, fairly been offered now at 595. We do play for keeps here today. There are no second chances. Once the hammer falls, sold is sold, gone is gone. At 595, bids there, keys are there. Once at 595, done. Twice at 595, done, finished. Third, final call, 595, done, finished. Silent out at 595,000. Definitely done now, sir. I have your absolute best here today. Definitely done. Do we have a consensus there? At 595, we are selling, selling, selling. So, congratulations and well bid. Please join me congratulating our purchasers and our vendors here today. You've just witnessed another successful Harcourts, Rata and Co-auction. Have a great weekend. See you again soon. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you.